Opinions expressed are those of the program host and guest and not WSTU. WSTU does not endorse any products mentioned. Any reproduction or retransmission of this broadcast is strictly prohibited without written consent of WSTU.
The Treasure Coast's longest-running local talk radio show is on the air. The Treasure Coast Forum. Get interested, get educated, get involved, and give us a call with your opinions at 220-9788. And here's your host of the Treasure Coast Forum.
Hello, happy Thursday. My name is Monica Lewis.
Yeah, I turned on the wrong microphone. There we go.
Here we go.
We got a microphone that works
Sorry.
now. All right.
Right. So, hello, my name is Monica Lewis, but you can call me Nono, and I'm your host today. And currently, it's just me and
Frank. Yeah,
yep,
that's
so
right.
the others have gone and
They're
away with
MIA.
them.
Yeah.
Yep. So you'll just be in our company today.
Aw, okay,
But
well, good.
I just have to start off with what is going on with these gas prices, since that's what everyone's talking about.
Yeah.
You know, I was like in the middle of rehearsal for choir, and then
Mhm.
my teacher goes, gas just went up. Or like I have friends and they're
Right.
like, maybe you shouldn't be speeding as much as you do, no, because you're burning gas, especially when it's $5 now. And even my dad yesterday, he was like, I just spent $75 to fill up my car. And I was like, oh Lord.
Yeah.
So
right.
let's get into this. So we were talking about this before the show, but basically what I had found on the internet when I was doing research for this and preparing my segment,
Mhm.
I had mainly seen that like many people are putting a correlation between fluctuated gas prices and the situation in Russia and Ukraine.
Mhm.
So what I just had come to learn is that that's not necessarily the case, but this is rather a
That's
buildup
part-
of events.
It's a part of the story.
Yeah.
Right.
Not a huge factor as a lot of people are making it out to seem.
Mhm.
Especially since Russia, although it is one of our biggest oil producers in the world, it only does pretty much supply, you said 10% of
10
our...
or 11% of what we consume. And we use very little of that oil actually for gasoline. It's used for other petroleum products.
Okay, I see. But the biggest thing that was coming up to news is like people were saying Western governments they're contemplating adding Russia's oil and gas supplies to a list of sanctions, which are correlating to the oil prices rising and
Right.
whatnot. And then there's also news of like how the United States is concerned about Russia's expanding influence in Latin America,
Right.
specifically Venezuela.
Mhm.
So they're saying that Putin already has close relations as well with Cuba and Nicaragua, which both countries apparently denied voting against the United Nations resolution of condemning Moscow's invasion of Ukraine.
Mhm.
So then they're apparently like today, apparently Biden was intending to host the Colombian president. I don't know if his name is Ivan Duque. I don't know.
All right. Close
But-
enough. Yeah.
Right,
Mhm.
at the White House to talk about basically the situation around here and how to approach it, especially since they are a really close ally and
Mhm.
have a relationship with NATO, which I think is interesting because I didn't know that. But it's also apparently we're looking towards Venezuela as well for oil
Yeah.
as a way to...
And the quality of their oil
Mhm.
is awful.
I would think so, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I mean, if you were to look at like U.S. oil as, do you ever buy olive oil?
yes, I love olive
Right.
oil.
So the premium is called,
The virgin.
extra virgin, right? I mean, there's virgin, there's extra virgin.
Mhm.
That's the premium. That'd be like the U.S.
Yeah.
product, right? So the Venezuelan product doesn't even make it to the list. It is so bad. In fact, our refineries are the only refineries that can take their crude and turn it into something can be used. It's that bad.
Really?
Yeah.
How does... man?
Yeah.
So is this because of the way they like extract the
Mhm.
oil and whatnot, or is it
It's just a lower quality oil.
okay? I understand.
Yeah.
But then they're saying that in supposedly doing so and having this sort of relationship with Venezuela,
Right.
it would take the edge off the gasoline prices, which
Not that. What would happen if we just produced more? We
yeah,
have like a $2 million or 2 million barrel shortfall, right?
Yeah.
So we could do that right now. Between Alaska and and utilizing finishing the pipeline the XL pipeline, bringing that stuff down from
Which
Canada.
is interestingly enough, because I did hear also a lot of controversy about the XL pipeline, which goes into basically what I was saying earlier is like this whole entire idea of the US's like energy independence. Since this was like a big thing that was circulating around the news.
Right.
I saw it yesterday on Fox News, and people were saying that Biden basically is like putting a limit on this. It's kind of suffocating the independence that we've had for the past few years.
Right.
And that kind of started off with last year with sort of bringing down the XL pipeline.
Right. So they green-lighted, they allowed the Russians to complete their pipeline in Europe, which is a head scratcher. And at the same time, he took away the completion of the XL pipeline in the U.S.
Yeah. Which took away lots of jobs from what I've read and would have basically strengthened our access to that oil and whatnot and not have that huge dependency now that we find ourselves in now, because everybody's wondering, where do we go from here?
Right.
The solutions that were posed were, get electric cars, or things like this. Or
now, Elon Musk, who produces more electric cars than anybody else in the world, guess what he said? Drill, drill, drill. Put more oil in the market.
No,
Yes.
really?
He says, at my own detriment, because it's good business for him, if people stop using gas-powered cars. But he recognizes that it's better for the security of the U.S. if we're, oil independence as opposed to being dependent.
Of course. And I think you have a
So this is like a big overarching story, because there's several stories all running here at the same time. So this is a story that goes back to May 10th, 2021. So let's give a listen to this.
News contributor Elizabeth Newman, a former Assistant Secretary of Homeland Security during the Trump administration. Elizabeth, thanks so much for joining us. This was a major attack on America's key infrastructure for sure, but it's also not an isolated case. Give us a sense of just how common these types of cyber attacks are here in the U.S. and also around the world.
That's right, Lindsay. It is pretty common to have cyber attacks, particularly on critical infrastructure. We've seen an increase in attacks. In the last year, there was a 300% increase of attacks of ransomware type of attacks, which is what the type of attack on the Colonial Pipeline was. And in particular, over the last year, we've seen a lot of focus on hospitals and other types of critical infrastructure where data is really critical. And so I think what we see in the Colonial Pipeline is just the tip of the iceberg. We're likely to see more of this.
Okay, so
wow,
May 2021.
Yeesh.
So I've got another clip for you.
Yeah, go ahead, roll it.
All right, here we go. This is November 16th, 2021.
From U.S. officials after Russia carried out a missile test early Monday, firing an anti-satellite missile into space, obliterating one of its own satellites and creating a vast debris field that's now orbiting Earth.
The test has so far generated over 1,500 pieces of trackable orbital debris and hundreds of thousands of pieces of smaller orbital debris that now threaten the interests of all nations.
Some of that debris coming dangerously close to the International Space Station, which is currently carrying 4 U.S. astronauts.
We were recently informed of a satellite breakup and need to have you guys start reviewing the safe haven procedure.
The crew quickly putting on their spacesuits and taking shelter in one of 2 spacecrafts docked at the station, which can return them to Earth during an emergency. It wasn't just Americans taking cover. The ISS is currently home to 2 Russian cosmonauts.
So you're speechless.
Yes, because
this is one of the first times.
No, I did not know about that.
Yeah. So think about this. So this is a long planned operation. Okay. What do you think? You remember the old expression, "a shot across the bow"?
No.
Okay. Shot across the bow goes back to the ancient or the before, modern times, right? So if you want to give somebody a heads up that bad things are about to happen to them at sea, you shoot a cannonball across their bow. Just kind of let them know the
Interesting.
next shot's going to have your name on it.
I see where you're going with this. It's like foreshadowing.
Yes.
Yeeks.
This is a shot across the bow. So he's been telling us right along, we can attack your infrastructure, right? We can attack you from space or in space. And
My goodness.
so, yes.
So then here's my biggest question of all, because when you look at whenever things like this happen, I always have to ask, what is the intention? What's the motive?
Right.
And what is the benefit at the end of this if
Right.
the other party were to succeed?
Right.
So if there's been the slow buildup, because there's also the same thing, there's the same pattern within Ukraine as well. It was from throughout history. You know, Putin was like, nope, they belong to us.
Right.
I want this like imperialist ideal to remain intact. So, and then for some reason in 2022, this just became the climax of it all. So what
do you think led up to the 2022 climax?
The election?
Well, yeah, but let's just say, I mean, all elections have consequences, but let's just say the decision making. For example, the way we left Afghanistan, did that show strength or weakness on our part?
Weakness, probably. Yeah.
Good answer, right? So if you are a adversarial individual and you see somebody that's showing weakness, you pounce on that, right? So we got somebody on our newsmaker line. Maybe okay, there we go. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi, Frank. Hello, class.
Hi.
Yeah, I heard actually today somebody explain what you just said, Frank. And then the second part of that is we are funding, Russia's attack on Ukraine because
we're buying oil.
We're so reliant on their oil, right? And for some reason, Biden would rather talk to Venezuela guy. He's all our enemies,
right?
Even Iran.
Oh yeah.
Russia, and this is something that maybe you haven't mentioned to the young lady. Russia and China are negotiating with Iran for our nuclear deal. Biden's trying to resurrect that.
Right. Yeah, Russia's the intermediary. What can go wrong? Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, that's
my God.
That's an idea for disaster.
You can't write off.
Nothing makes sense,
No.
which is why it makes sense.
Right.
Up is down is up. Pronouns. Well, I can't call this changing our language.
Yeah.
In Congress.
Yeah.
Pelosi did that. I don't even understand it, Frank. Maybe you could explain it to us.
No. It's
you can't explain it either.
No. I think it's a head scratcher for sure.
It certainly is.
Yes, but absolutely.
Well, if I could ask your opinion on one thing, because I did find a quote, sort of surrounding the situation, and it kind of stems off of what you're saying. Could I read it for you?
Sure.
So it says, this is from somebody from the Financial Times. I think that's an article. But he said that if you've just banned oil from what they call the Russian dictator, it's difficult to explain why you're going to be buying oil from the Venezuelan dictator, who I just found out is not even considered as like a government official.
That's right, not a legitimate.
Whatnot. So what do you think about that?
Oh, no, I totally concur. I mean, why? That's what I said. Here we're going to talk to Maduro for oil. I mean, he's got his own problems over there,
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, why it was just which dictator do we want to buy oil from? When actually, as Frank said, we could turn the spigots on without even trying hard.
Right.
We could make up to 10% easy.
And there's no negotiation.
We could double
involved.
that.
Right. There's no negotiation involved. They just, say we're going to relax all these restrictions and just go ahead and not only is it the oil, but it's the natural gas.
Natural gas, right. I mean, I'm old enough so that I am never going to buy an electric car. Okay. But to force, and I can afford it, to force people to buy electric cars.
Right.
That's insane.
Right.
Look around at your friends, guys.
Oh yeah.
Some of your friends' parents could probably afford it, and other people couldn't.
Right.
There are millions of gas and diesel vehicles. How do we move our goods? Diesel, 18-wheelers.
Mm-hmm.
And we're still moving oil, by the way, with trucks, not with the pipeline, because Biden decided we're not going to be able to use that pipeline.
Right.
So now we're moving the same amount of oil, maybe not the same amount, but we're moving oil over land in trucks. And that's dangerous.
And it uses more energy. It's less efficient.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Spewing. And like you said, the oil from Venezuela, while they have a tremendous field, they have the largest field, but it's all dirty.
It's very
real dirty.
Like syrup. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yucky.
All right. We mix it with our sweet, which is why we can use it.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
All right.
All right,
Well,
buddy.
I'll get off the phone.
Yeah.
And
Thanks
go
for the
team.
call.
Go, God bless America.
Yep.
Go team. All right.
God bless Haiti too. You know?
Yes, thank you.
Throw them in for you.
All
Yeah,
right.
we need it. We need it.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
Thanks.
Have a good one.
Thanks,
Bye.
Charlie. All right. So yeah, there you go.
Yep. Nope. And didn't I say that before? Like I was talking about how my friends, all of us are out here driving around.
Right.
We struggle. We have college to pay for, things like that. I have some friends who are going out of state and they didn't get the full scholarship. I'll tell you that. So other ones, they got to stay in
if
state.
they've already, so let's say they sat down, and I'm sure there's called the kitchen table budget, right?
Sure. Yeah.
You sit down at the kitchen table with mom and dad. You get out your note paper and a ledger, and you say to yourself, okay, what are my planned anticipated expenses? What's the rent going to cost? How much allowance am I going to have for food? And all the ancillary things that you're going to need, school supplies, books, what have you. You just blew all that out of the water.
Oh
now,
yeah.
because inflation 7.9% today.
7.9%
over last year.
Yeesh.
So almost just a tick under 8%. So let's call it 10% just for round numbers.
Yeah.
Right? 10% is huge.
Yeah.
Right. And it means the difference whether or not you're going to be eating ramen noodles 3 times a day or just once a day.
Yeah. No,
right?
of course.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing is, we're not all made of money. And what I like to say, and this is the message that I've known for a long time that my friends are just figuring out, is like a lot of us are rich on paper.
Yes.
But not so luxurious in real life,
Right.
I mean, so it's just,
it
and
looks
that's the
good on
reality of
paper,
things.
but when you start putting, the rubber to the road and you
Oh, yeah.
start putting these, ideas into practice, and you go, wow,
Mhm.
this is going to cost money, and I need to spend money to do this,
Mhm.
and
And an electric car as a
Mhm.
solution, when we do have a true solution in our backyard,
right.
that's not
Right.
feasible.
Yeah, and then the other part of the electric car that seems to be lost in the conversation is the dirty environmental impact on mining all the raw materials to make batteries.
Oh yes, yeah. And you said that's like in China as well. So we're
And
also
China's over the past many years has cornered the market on raw materials for batteries. Try to price nickel right now.
yeesh.
Nickel is through the roof.
But
And-
but it seems like a simple material though.
right, but if we only have one country owns all the nickel,
Oh, well there you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeesh. All right, well, but that's the situation on that.
Mhm.
And I guess I could sort of tease my next topic since those were just our updates and whatnot. But do you have that space science music, whatever you play
Oh yeah.
in the beginning?
Oh
Because
yeah, we can do that. All right, stand by.
in memory of John
Right.
not being here with us today, who's always our cute little science nerd, I do have a science segment for us today with a hint of some conspiracy.
All right.
So
And now, no with the space news.
here we go. But it's not really space, but so are you familiar with the name of Ernest Shackleton?
Yeah.
No way. You
Yeah,
are?
I'm
Mr.
familiar
Frank,
with the name.
I am convinced you just know everything.
No,
Because
hardly, hardly.
I literally went on NPR today and I
Yeah.
found this story and I was like, who is this man?
Go ahead.
Oh my, so apparently,
Mm-hmm.
as of World War One was beginning in 1914, this British explorer named Shackleton set out to transverse Antarctica.
Right.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
no, and she's special, and there's like a lot of conspiracy theories and whatnot
Mm-hmm.
around Antarctica, which I cannot wait to get into. But the plan for this man was that he was going to take 27 men on 2 ships, and one of them was called the Endurance and the Aurora, and they would arrive on different locations on Antarctica in order to explore which way to basically explore Antarctica, what's there, what does it have to offer.
Right.
But in January of 1915, the Endurance specifically became trapped in ice off the coast of Antarctica, which was like, yeesh.
Oof, yeah.
So then they found out that they found it, I think a few days ago actually.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I just can't, because when you hear the story, they said that the men lived on the ship for months,
Right.
but the pressure of the ice slowly began to crush the boat,
Mm-hmm.
and then they gave order to just abandon it overall.
Right. Abandoned ship. Yep.
And then they were only allowed to have 2 pounds of personal gear, and then that's it.
Yeah.
And then it finally broke up, and then
Mhm.
it sank.
Yeah.
It was just like scary. But you know what's the craziest thing is that they're saying that the ship looks brand new, as if it just sunk yesterday.
Right.
Which I think, because I'm not the science nerd here, but how is that possible? Is it because the water's so cold that
Yes.
nothing has time to decay?
Right. Most of the decay takes place in because of warm weather, water. Then you have bacteria. It helps to break things down.
Oh,
Bacteria can't exist if you don't have it breaking down.
That is true.
Yeah.
Well, then
and,
there
and
you
the
go.
oxygen level is different too in the water too.
Oh yeah, yes, that's correct.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, but it's just
Yeah.
like, yay! And then they're saying how like they set sail from South Africa,
Mm-hmm.
and then these are the people who found the boat,
Mm-hmm.
and how their hunt for the Endurance was actually so challenging. It was the hardest thing they've ever done, and the boat was actually found 4 miles away from where it had originally sank, which is cool.
Right.
But now they're saying, which is nice, it'll be protected as a historical site and a monument under
Right.
the Antarctic Treaty. And I was like, what is that? But apparently it's just so that way, like, all of Antarctica isn't abused for, like,
Correct.
It's going to be for peaceful purposes,
Right.
not
Right.
to further anything
Right.
negative.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was like looking into this, and I was like, where did this come from? Why are we having all these things? Antarctica, it's always been portrayed as like this mysterious land. It's all ice.
Right.
Nobody really goes there. Nobody knows what's there and whatnot. And at least in school, personally, we were just taught, nope, it's just a continent. That's it. Nothing more.
There's actually
don't worry about
quite
it.
a bit going on there. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that there was like scientists who live there,
All
who
the time.
study, who
Mhm.
like, and they go there to do like documentaries on like the life, the water pressure that's like happening, the glaciers are falling down,
Right.
things like that. I didn't know any of that.
They learn more about the early Earth because it's a pristine area.
Mhm.
And then when they drill deep into Antarctica, they look at the different cores. They can actually determine what year what period of time those cores came from, and what
Man.
was going on environmentally at the time. So they learn an awful lot.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
All right,
stuff.
well then we have to go to break, but
soon.
in the next afterwards, I
Mhm.
will touch upon those tiny little conspiracy theories that I just thought were so funny.
Right.
So I'll share a little bit of that.
I have one more item for you.
Mhm.
On this day in space, March 10th, 1977, the rings of Uranus were discovered.
No way.
So, yep.
Thank
that's
you for pronouncing it correctly.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yes.
so much. Because I pronounced it that way, and I was actually made fun of one year.
Yeah.
Because we were doing a show
Mhm.
rooted in space,
Mhm.
and everybody was like, "It's the other way," you
Yes.
say, and I was like, "No, it's not."
No.
If you want to challenge me on that, call in.
That's it. Right.
Let's do it.
220-9788. And by the way, like us on YouTube find our YouTube page, WSTU 1450 Treasure Coast Forum will come up. And if you like our program, that helps our algorithm.
Of course.
So do that. And with that, we'll take this as a regulation timeout, and we'll be right back. So stick with us. Hey, Bob. All right, stand by. We'll be on the air in about 25 seconds.
No way. How did you know?
Thanks. Just a guess. Just a guess.
A really good guess.
Whew, I'm winded. All right.
We're back, and we have a caller on the line. Go ahead.
Hey, good show there, Nana.
Thank you. What is going on, Mr. Bob?
Just living the life, and since COVID, pretty much stuck indoors.
Aww.
No, I'm planning a trip to New Jersey soon, hopefully, if everybody's still healthy up there now. Every time I try to get up there, either banned from it or everybody's, not well, but now everybody, I think, is doing okay.
Good.
That's good to know, yeah.
Yeah, the vacation capital of the world, New Jersey.
I thought that was Florida. We're getting all the people from New Jersey down here and New York. So
I have a son in Orlando, so yeah, the other vacation capital of New Jersey.
That's right.
Yep.
My family all lives right there by Princeton, so if you want, I'll stop into the Ivy League and pitch for you.
Oh man, well, you know what? We'll see. I don't know where the future's taking me yet. I don't know. So
I told you before, you don't want to go to the Ivy League. Princeton is the most beautiful old college probably in the world, but they're strange.
Yeah.
You'll find your place. What's your top pick right now?
So I'm actually considering UF because I got in. Surprisingly, I was the only black student in my IB class to get into UF actually. So, which is a surprise since I was rejected from FSU. That's interesting.
Why were you rejected?
I have no idea, but okay, so it's just really complicated. I think they were accepting more out-of-state students this year, and so I somehow got rejected, even though UF is the more highly selective school. So, yeesh, right?
Yeah. UF, not you. I thought you said US in the first. I thought you were going to go out of the country.
No, I am not the type of person to study abroad. I don't know how I feel about those experiences. Because I just think, yeah, study abroad is not for me.
How about
Yeah.
UH?
UH, University
Yeah,
of
Haiti.
No. Oh man, I wish. I would love to, but like I said before, Haiti is just not in the best situation right now. It never is really, but hopefully I can change. You know what I've been parading around my school saying?
What?
I'm gonna be the next hood princess. I can dabble into every single world, and I can be the next leader of all the blacks, the black nation. And all my friends are like, "What?" But it's gonna happen
You're
someday.
still
Just
on black
watch.
power from last week. Come on.
What?
I'm talking about White Men's Appreciation Moment. For 1 minute.
Man, that
April
is
1st.
true. I know. I mean, my black friends and I, all of us are getting ragged on because the whole month of February we were like, Black History Month. You're doing this to us during Black History Month, and now that it's March, it's like they're like, yeah, what can you tell us now? What can you tell us now? So I'm like,
What do
I
you got?
told
What do
you
you got?
before,
Yep.
you like shoes, right?
yes, to a certain
Yeah,
extent.
Yeah, you could be the next Melda Marcos.
There you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, like I
She had
said.
like 5,000 pairs of shoes while everybody was starving.
Oh no, that's horrible.
Women
Okay.
like shoes. What can you say?
Right.
Don't
Oh
buy
well.
them diamonds. Buy them shoes.
That's right.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but no, I like what you were talking about. We didn't get it too much into space. I think you should change it from YIGs to SSCs, Stuart Space Cadets. But but I liked a lot of the conversation about the fuel and everything. You remember during Frank will remember. You might be a little young, no.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with the Gulf crisis, with that oil spill, that everybody tried to help Obama out, and he said, "No, we got it under control," and he let it go on forever with all that oil, and we couldn't buy shrimp off at the Gulf Coast, or
Yes.
all the fishermen were going poor, and it was ruining the whole Gulf Coast by New Orleans. And
Mm-hmm.
Took a long time for it to all come back. Yep.
Yeah. I do remember that. Yes.
But he didn't want any help from anybody. They were saying, we can take care of this. I mean, let us help you. And Obama said, no, we don't need your help. And at the same time, his buddy, somehow our government gave $2 billion to George Soros to go to Venezuela, I think it was, like you were talking about. And because they have a lot of offshore oil. So they said, well, the oil companies are saying, we're just going to move these rigs out of the Gulf and move them down, South America.
Mm-hmm.
And so we spent $2 billion for George Soros, Obama's pal, and nothing was ever done about that. And it's just this world is just getting crazy right now. But the gas, I'm going up there hopefully with my sister and brother-in-law. And they said, what car are we going to take? I said, we're going to take that 4-cylinder. Look at what gas is going for.
Yes, you need to.
You don't want to take my truck.
Yeah.
I just had a lot of work done to it, And
the only advantage of taking your
we're
truck
going to take that little 4-banger.
Yeah.
And you're talking about Musk. I was surprised what you said, Frank, about Musk was saying, drill.
Yes, absolutely. And he's quoted as saying that. And the fact, not only, he really wants the U.S. to be energy independent. And
that's a slap in the face to Biden. And,
but because he recognizes that it's only a small section of the population that could want and or afford to buy an electric vehicle. It's not a vehicle for the masses. The infrastructure is not there. And even if you had
Tesla's what, 200,000?
No, they're about 60,000 and up. but you can buy, a good used car for what, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, right? So,
Today, even they keep sending me letters saying they want to buy mine that I bought in. It's like 16 years old. My Tacoma pickup.
Right.
They want to buy it. Yeah, because they're selling like a couple of years ago. It was going for $8,000, and now it's going. My used old Tacoma, which I love, is going for like $15,000-$16,000.
Yeah, turn it into money.
Oh man,
Yeah.
it's crazy. But
right.
We're talking about Ukraine and all this and that, and Russia, and now they're saying that a lot of the soldiers in Russia that are in Ukraine said they didn't know why they were going there.
That's right.
They think they're in the Cub Scouts.
No, they thought it was a training exercise. These are kids. These are 18-year-olds, and they were just told, oh, this is a training exercise, and they didn't know. One guy, before he was killed, was texting with his mom I think I mentioned that last week.
Yeah, last show. Yeah.
And he was texting with his mom saying, Mom, I had no idea what we were doing here, and I didn't. In fact, they're given limited maps. When they are in a community, they don't have GPS, so and the maps they have are limited. And so what the folks are doing in a lot of these small towns and villages, they're taking all their traffic, all their road signs down, so that when the Russians roll in, they don't know exactly where they are. And
they think they're in the Cub Scouts, the Boy Scouts. They're just in a camping trip. But the only chance Ukraine has, Frank, in my mind, is you got to fight like the Afghans.
Right. That's exactly what they're
doing. Russia tried to take them out. Yeah. Remember years ago?
Oh yeah.
Forget about it. It couldn't happen. I mean, they're just.
The big problem you've got going on, Bob, is the Russian fighters are not motivated fighters, whereas the Ukrainians are seriously motivated.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, I do agree. Yep.
Big difference. And
like the Afghans, Russia couldn't beat the Afghans.
Nope. And again, because of the system that they have in place for logistics and for materials and for just providing information to the foot soldier, Russia is a lot different than Western thoughts in that area for battlefield conflicts. And so the whole thing is such that Russia is, the only way they could have won is if in 3 days they got to Kiev and they toppled the government and then they installed their puppet government. That was the dream. That was the vision of Vladimir Putin. And it didn't turn out that way. It's going to be a long drawn out. We're already in day 15.
Yep.
And there's no end in sight. They've cut off the electricity to the homes in many of these places. They're just going to starve them out. And so they may capture the land. They have the means to do that, but they're not going to capture the hearts and minds. That's for sure.
Yeah, I hope they put up a fight like the Afghans did against Russia. And a lot of the Middle East is where all our terrorists come from. The bad Muslims. And, we had problems in Afghanistan, especially with Biden pulling out and everything else. But, you don't see attacks against Russia and China. There was one in a theater in Russia somewhere, this and that. I think China and Russia are using a lot of the bad Muslims against us. They're all against us. Yeah. I mean, they're against. They want to be dictators. They want to be owners of everything. But I don't know what's going on here. That we, like you said, with the gas stuff, I mean, that's what we need to do. And I'm glad to hear Musk said that. I never, I wouldn't believe he would say
Absolutely.
something. But you know,
America first, you know,
this
is a Trump
I saw
thing.
a thing on TV one day where a Tesla caught on fire or something,
right,
and they were trying to put it out with just water.
Oh, yeah.
And it wouldn't go out.
Of course not. No.
Well, I hate to cut you off, Mr. Bob, but that's the music playing, and we got to go to break.
Hey, no problem. I wasn't pithy today. So.
Oh, no, you're all good. But it's always a pleasure to hear from you.
Great to talk. I'll talk to the people in Princeton. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Get me up there. Have a bye. All right, really quickly before we end off with today's show, we're going to go into our conspiracy theories, and then you guys know it wouldn't be me if I didn't have my moral/philosophical topic for the day, right? Okay.
All right.
So I just want to end off with that, and then, and then afterwards it's like spring break, right? I don't know what you adults have when it's not spring break, but
every day's spring break for me. Yeah.
I wish.
Right?
So the mystery of Antarctica continues below its surface.
Yes, it does.
Apparently, this is where the lost city of Atlantis is hidden.
Oh, really? That's the new story? Okay.
Really? Where
Well,
did they say Atlantis was before?
Well, some people place it in the Caribbean, and some people placed it in the Mediterranean. So it just depends upon the
interesting.
the time in our culture we decide to. Yeah.
Well, remember how you're saying how scientists can go out and they can date, they can figure out things from the past, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So they're saying that Atlantis would have thrived when Antarctica was warm.
Mm-hmm.
It was supposedly a tropical region before the Ice Age.
Even the North Pole. There's the tundra and the North Pole. They found a lot of plants and growing things there that had since been covered up.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Atlantis, who
Yeah.
knows? Who
Right.
knows? Hopefully we can find out in the future. But then it's also theorized that the Nazis had an underground like secret hideaway. And then this is where some people believe that Hitler fled after the war, since he was said to have a passion for the occult. And this is like, they say this is especially so because the Nazi Germans, they built a station in Antarctica, but it was abandoned after essentially 70 years ago, since the crew was poisoned by polar bear meat.
Oof,
which is
bad meat.
But how does that even happen? Was it because they ate it raw? Like I don't
know. Who knows?
I don't know either. Yeah. So are you familiar with the man? Now we're switching topics.
Yeah. Okay.
I think his name is Sigmund Freud.
Yes, Sigmund Freud.
Okay,
yes,
yeah. So he's like the father, the father of psychology. So there's this popular TV trope called the Freudian excuse. So just to go into the definition, this is about like a villain or a character that has an abusive or particularly violent backstory, and then this makes them have an insane or warped perception of the universe or reality. So
sounds like Jesse Smollett.
Yeah. Yes, I love the comeback. We were talking about Jesse Smollett before during our break.
Yes.
And how he's actually going back to court for sentencing about his false assault claim.
Right.
I guess you can say. So that's funny. True, I guess. But
so Freud would have had a lot of fun with this guy.
Right?
Right.
And all of his theories that he came out with, I wonder which applies to him. But a big question that came out of this, and this was inspired by the show Euphoria. I don't think you're familiar with it, but it stars Zendaya, and it's like this hit show among young adults, and it shouldn't be teenagers, but it is.
Okay.
But it has to do with like drugs, family dynamics, and social groups, and maneuvering life, and just it's really dramatized. But I think there's a lot of lessons to learn from it, and there's a lot of not so good lessons. I literally had friends saying how much they wanted to do drugs because of the show, because it seems very aesthetic. Yeah, let's not do that.
No.
But what mainly inspired this today was the fact that Zendaya plays a role. She's like a really popular celebrity. She plays a role of this drug addict in the show. And what we see is that she, along with a lot of these other characters, they deal with like having dead parents, abusive parents who are alcoholics, or the divorce, or being bullied in school, or even their own self issues and whatnot.
Self-loathing.
Worth, esteem, all that type of nonsense. So what is mainly seen throughout the show is that, for example, Zendaya's character will be like, oh, I do drugs because my father died. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or you have another character. There's actually a really popular scene where this other character was comparing herself, saying, well, Zendaya's character, her father died. I think that's better since my dad's a heroin addict and he used me, and all this type of nonsense, right? Which is valid. But then I watched an analysis video using the Freudian excuse, saying, how far can your tragic backstory protect you? You know what I mean? In a sense, because she, like this character as well, she also goes out and she hurts the people around her, and she causes drama, and she brings down her family, all because her dad was a heroin addict, which is valid, but to what extent? So then I went around school and I was asking, where's the line between where we hold those accountable or we excuse those because they act out of their trauma or because of the trauma that they've previously had? You know what I mean? Like, where is that line drawn? Like, how do we discern the two? Do you have an opinion?
It depends upon
the situation, right?
Each situation. But I think everybody has it within their power to transcend bad things that happen to them. And sometimes those things make you a better, stronger person, even though you've got tragedy in your life.
Exactly. I agree. And like the biggest thing is like, my friend was saying how like, oh, well, this is based off a fictional show. And I was like, well, I actually debated in my school's constitutional debate. I didn't get to talk about it since I was preparing for West Side, but I actually won this debate with my partner, and it was the case of Miller v. Alabama. Are you familiar with that?
No, please
Okay.
enlighten me.
Yeah, so there's this kid named Evan Miller. He's 14 years old, and he's with this kid named Kobe Smith, and they kill their friend by beating him up with a baseball bat and burning his body in a trailer, right? So, but he comes from a troubled background. You know, his mother abused drugs. He abused drugs. His stepfather was abusive. He was in and out of the system. But after committing this crime, he was tried as an adult since he did commit capital murder and arson. You know, so and he was actually sentenced to a mandatory term of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, which is almost equivalent at such a young age of being sentenced to death, essentially. And that's how the court saw it. And of course, this was like, it had a lot of controversy. Long story short, the Supreme Court, it was a vote of 5-4. 5 being that this was a violation of the Eighth Amendment. And what we argued here,
and the Eighth Amendment
is cruel and unusual punishment.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and what was argued here was basically the fact that he comes from a troubled background. So he was basically projecting what he was these internalized behaviors from the environment. You know, it's the concept of nature versus nurture, right?
Right.
But then again, it's like, well, where's that line crossed? And the thing that triggered like this thing is that one of my friends, when I asked him this question, he said, well, the line is drawn with the law because there's no such thing as accountability when it comes to personal morals. And I was like, dang, now that's a good response to that, you know? And so it just, you know, my friends and I, we're all going to go to college. We're going to be in all these different environments, all these type of influences. And I think it's good because everybody struggles. Everybody goes through something.
Right.
But it's a matter of also holding yourself accountable when you know, like, I can't let this be something that makes me bring others down as well.
Right.
So, and that's about it. That's all I have for today.
Well, very good. Well, that was very thought-provoking.
Yeah. As I always am.
Yes, indeed. Well, we appreciate all of you out there listening, and we look forward to visiting with you again here on Treasure Coast Forum.
And check out the YouTube channel. Share it to Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, your grandma, your pop, whoever you have.
Right.
Your brothers and sisters, reach out because we appreciate it, and we appreciate you.
Thank you. And we'll be back again next week right here on Treasure Coast Forum.